Joining me today is Melanie Gorman, who's Director of Operations for the Mars Venus Coaching Program. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, you know, it's been lovely. We've spoken to John about how the principles are read in the books, but with the coaching line, it's all about putting them into practice and individualizing them for people, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. People call with their own individual look and feel on what they may have experienced with the Mars Venus principles, and then coaches actually help them to personalize it. We had a caller one day that called. They were in the backseat of a taxi cab and they were on the way to a date, and they were just absolutely, what do I say, first opening line, new blind date, and we help them figure out what to do every step along the way.
So how did you get involved in the program?
Oh, that's a good story. I actually applied the Mars Venus principles and got married using them. Yeah, I had seen John on TV and late night one night and thought, if I want to get married and I want to do it right, this is what I need to do. And I started applying the principles to my life. And I met my sweetheart, re-met my sweetheart actually, and we got married a couple years ago.
Living proof.
Yeah.
Now, we'd obviously always like to pick up the phone and speak to John.
Yeah.
But you've had to make the next best thing. So how have you been involved in selecting the coaches?
We really look for people that have a genuine interest in helping people. There's a lot that goes into it, but it's an ongoing training process that goes every day that they're with us. They're going through some form of training with us. And it's moment to moment, situation by situation, so it's great.
Should anyone be worried or anxious about picking up the phone for the first time?
I mean, I can understand why someone may feel anxious, but it's such an easy process. Coaches are very friendly. They're very interested in helping you figure out what to do. It's very solution oriented. It's not meant to keep you on the phone in any way. And I think it's a very easy process. And, you know, you can tell us as little or as much as you want to tell us about yourself. Some people, they treat us like family. Some people, we don't even know their names. It just
So you can be totally anonymous,
Absolutely.
Everything in confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
At what point do you think people should gauge that the relationship that they're having or hoping to have may be in need of a little bit of coaching?
I think that when people start to feel like they have insecurities and impulses that their conscious may not be the right steps to take, that's the time to just do a check-in. If you're in relationships with people and you feel like, you know, you're desperate for marriage, or you absolutely need a girlfriend, or, you know, you're going to have argument that you can't get out of, any of those reasons are great reasons to pick up the phone. It's so hard when we talk to callers and they're calling because she left or she pushed him away.
More difficult.
It is difficult because then people are learning from the burden of hindsight and they don't have the opportunity to say, oh, I wish I had taken this step earlier. I mean, that is, after all, the most common thing we hear from people. Gosh, I wish I had called sooner. So if I could say anything, that would be it. Call when you feel like the impulse to do something that may not be in your best interest is present, and pick up the phone and call.
Do you really sense a huge difference in people when they get off the phones from you?
Yeah, and that's always a wonderful call to have, you know, because people will say things like, I'm so glad I called. I can't believe I didn't call before. And it just gives them the next steps. They feel like they have a coach in their corner. They feel like there's somebody cheering them along. So whether we're coach or cheerleader or educator, we kind of fill all those roles. But the thing is that people don't feel alone. And that's a really big step, because being single is not always easy for people.
No, I mean, we've talked about the whole dating game. There's a whole show right there. But I mean, there's other problems that people have. I mean, you know, in a long-term relationship, marriage, you know, you can hit rocky patches. And again, pick up the phone and speak to one of your coaches then. I mean, what sort of problems do people, you know, further down the line seem to have?
I have a caller, a regular caller, a male caller, and he often talks about the importance of knowing how to meet his wife's primary needs and what that does to their marriage. Because whenever he feels like he's in trouble, he's in the doghouse, he just steps back and he says, okay, I'm not giving her what she needs to be happy, I'm doing it my way. And he steps back, and then he's able to give her what she needs, which is, she needs reassurance and she needs time with him. And, you know, it's
so interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Because you're right, sometimes you plug away with your partner or your date or your other half because you want a certain response, and you plug away and you get more frustrated because you're not getting that response, and then you read your own sort of stories into that. Men
want to make women happy. I mean, this is one of those very core Mars-Venus concepts. Men love being in relationships with women that they feel like they can make happy. And when a man stops believing that he can make you happy, he starts feeling insecure. And it's a time when men start to question relationships. And women need to give men positive messages regularly that they are happy and that they can be made happy. And it's this wonderful dance that couples have where they're able to be together and love each other in ways that they choose to be loved, and then it works.
So really it's sort of moving on the dance floor out of step and then suddenly coming together and doing this fantastic salsa crescendo tango around the room because you're just moving in unison. You're moving towards the same place.
Yes.
You're doing it right, communicating right.
You are.
And it's just down to just somebody helping you, coach you through it.
That's right. Definitely.
What Mars and Venus has allowed, it's allowed me to take a step back, and it's allowed me to listen in a way that I was completely unable to listen.
We owe a lot of thanks to John Gray for helping our relationship flourish, because I don't know that we would be where we are today if we didn't practice those principles.
So, if people are thinking about picking up the phone, if they're maybe in crisis at the moment, or maybe it's even just a number they want to jot down so that when this happens, when he goes into the cave and you can actually almost, sometimes you're out of your body and you can see yourself doing everything you know you shouldn't do, but you just can't stop yourself.
Yeah.
If they're thinking about picking up the phone and calling you for the very first time, what would you say to them?
Do it. I would say do it. If the impulse has hit you, it's time to do it. You can talk for 10 minutes, you can talk for 2 hours. It's totally up to you. The reassurance that you get from talking with a coach really cements the fact that you're not alone and there are things you can do. Feeling helpless is a really awful place for people to be, and they don't have to be helpless.
It's a very lonely place as well.
It is very lonely. And there are things every person can do to improve their relationships, whether they're just starting to date or they're, well into their marriage. Everyone can improve their communication. And feeling like there's something you can do makes it so that you're not on the receiving end of bad news all the time. You're actually doing something productive for your relationship.
So you're not fighting fires.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's why we're here.
It sounds good to me. Well, thank you for coming in and talking to us about it.
Thank you.
It was absolutely fantastic.
My pleasure.
And living proof as well.
Yes, absolutely.